Leonardo da Vinci spent nearly a decade in another man's workshop before he painted a single thing the world remembers. Not studying everything, studying three things: metalwork, sculpture, and paint, until his hands understood them better than his mind did. That's how it worked for centuries. You didn't scatter your attention across 1,000 influences. You picked one master, one craft, and you drowned in it until something new came out the other side. Fast forward to record stores and film societies in the decades before the internet took over, and you had the same idea, just a different shape. Nobody handed you the next great album or the next great movie. You had to go looking through liner notes, through credits, through some guy behind a counter who'd spent 20 years figuring out what actually mattered. It was slow, it was inconvenient, and that inconvenience was the whole point, because every dead end taught you something a recommendation never could. Then the feed showed up, not to join in, to take over. One machine running underneath every app you open, whose only job is to guess what you'll look at next and hand it to you before you even ask. And look, here's what that machine actually does to you. It doesn't feed your curiosity, it studies it, and it feeds you back the average of whatever's already popular. Every creator pulling references from the same trending sound, the same viral edit, the same handful of images that everyone else already saved to the same board. You think you're getting inspired, you're actually getting flattened into everyone else's taste, and the algorithm wins either way. That's not inspiration, that's pasteurization. And it's a big part of why so much of what gets made right now feels like it's already been made. So here's the fix, and it's going to sound backwards. Think of a field with 100 holes dug into it, each one a few inches deep, none of them ever reaching water. Now think of one hole, dug straight down 10 feet until it hits the spring underneath. The 100 holes look busy. They're not. That one deep hole is the only one that ever gets you something to drink. Creativity works the same way. The cure isn't more references pouring into your feed. It's picking 3 books, 3 films, 3 records, and refusing to look at anything else for a month. It's called going deep instead of wide. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how ordinary people are using it to out-create a machine that was never built to reward depth in the first place. And here's where it gets interesting, because somebody already figured this out. Not a scientist, not a guru, just a guy who got sick of feeling like every video he made looked like everyone else's. He didn't build a new algorithm. He didn't hack anything. He just turned the recommendations off, completely off. No suggested videos, no For You page, no autoplay. And for the first 2 weeks, he said it felt like walking into a dark room with no idea where the furniture was. He didn't know what to watch. He didn't know what to make. His hands just sat there, waiting for the feed to tell them what to do, because that's what they'd been trained to do for years. But here's the part that's almost funny. The system that was supposed to know him better than he knew himself had no idea what to do with a person who stopped asking it questions. It couldn't nudge him. It couldn't average him into the crowd. It just lost him. And in that silence, he did something almost embarrassingly simple. He picked 3 old films nobody was talking about, films he had to actually track down instead of stumble into. And he watched each one 4 or 5 times, not for content, for construction, how the shots were framed, why a scene ran long when it should have been cut short. Within a month, the stuff he made looked nothing like what was trending. It looked like nothing else, period. That's the part the algorithm can't compute. A mind that fed itself on purpose instead of getting fed. And that's not a new trick. It just feels new because we forgot it. Back in the 50s, a children's book editor bet a writer he couldn't write an entire book using only 50 different words. The writer took the bet out of pure stubbornness, boxed himself into that tiny vocabulary, and the result was Green Eggs and Ham. One of the best-selling children's books ever printed. 50 words. That's it. The limitation wasn't the obstacle. The limitation was the machine that built the thing. A decade later in France, a group of writers and mathematicians formed something called Oulipo. And their whole philosophy was this: give yourself an absurd, narrow rule. Write a novel with no letter E in it. Structure a poem like a chess game, and see what your brain does when it can't rely on its usual habits. Some of what came out of that group is still taught in literature courses today, not despite the constraint, because of it. So this isn't a fringe idea some guy invented last year. It's older than the internet. older than television, older than most of the art forms we're worried about losing to a feed. And right now, that same feed is pushing more content into the world every single day than any one person could watch in a lifetime. A flood so wide, it's basically designed to keep you skimming the surface forever. Which brings us to what's actually happening underneath all this, because watch less isn't the full method. It's barely half of it. Here's the part most people get wrong when they hear limit your references. They think it means restriction for its own sake. Some kind of creative diet. It's not. It's the difference between having a reference and having a repertoire, and that difference is bigger than it sounds. A reference is something you collect. You save it, you screenshot it, you drop it in a folder you'll get back to. It's a photograph of a place you've never actually visited. You can have 4,000 of those and still know nothing about what it actually feels like to stand there. A repertoire is different. A repertoire is built through your hands, not your scroll finger. It's rewatching that one film until you notice the editor cut on movement instead of dialogue. It's reading a book slow enough to catch the author repeating a structure on purpose. It's picking up an instrument you don't play well and trying badly to recreate a bass line you love. Not to master it, just to understand it from the inside, the way you can only understand something by getting your hands dirty in it. That's active research. That's the garimpo, the digging. Instead of the delivery, you go looking for where an idea actually came from instead of accepting the version that got served to you. You trace it back. You ask an uncomfortable question, why does this work? And most people never ask that question because the feed never gives you time to. That's why 3 deep dives beat 300 shallow scrolls. 300 scrolls give you vocabulary, 3 deep dives give you fluency. And fluency is the thing that actually shows up in what you create. Vocabulary just shows up as an accent you copied from somewhere else. Okay, so does this actually work? Let's be real for a second, because I'm not going to stand here and tell you that watching 3 movies a month turns you into a visionary. It won't. Most days it just feels slow, and slow feels like falling behind when everyone around you is posting daily. But that's the wrong scoreboard. The win here was never speed. The win is that what you make stops sounding like an average of everyone else's feed. That's it. That's the entire victory. Friction. You become slightly harder to predict, slightly harder to flatten, slightly more yourself. Nobody's handing out a trophy for that. But give it long enough, and it's the only thing that separates work people remember from work people scroll past in half a second. And that brings us right back to where we started. A guy in a workshop, learning 3 crafts instead of chasing 1,000 distractions. Because depth was the only path anyone had back then. We didn't lose that path because it stopped working. We lost it because something faster showed up and convinced us faster meant better. David Lynch put it about as simply as anyone ever has. He said ideas are like fish. If you're only fishing in shallow water, all you're ever going to catch are small ones. The big ones, the ones worth building something around, live further down, and you only find them if you're willing to actually go there instead of skimming the surface. That's the whole thing. Not less curiosity, deeper curiosity. There is a video on your screen right now. If you're willing to step out of the shallow water and keep digging, click on it. I'll see you in the next one.